audio test purposes. We already used Return of the News back in episode 194, Seth, so I had to change it.
Current issue events.
We already used Return of the News back in episode 194, Seth, so
Man, there's a hell of an echo around you.
All right. Man, issue events. You don't have to tell me twice, Mark.
we already used Return of the News back in episode 194, Seth, so
Man, there's a hell of an echo around you.
All right. Man, issue events.
And that, my friends, is the delay.
Wow.
So I am closing that, ending that. Look at that, 7:24, and we're ready to go.
Yeah, hang on. I haven't checked the show notes.
Well, it's just Seth stuff. It's fine.
Yeah, it's not like I've read these.
What
the
are we
stories
doing
he's linked
today?
to.
What's our topic?
News.
News.
Current-ish
okay,
events.
Hey, I was gonna talk about the new YouTube TV channel lineup because they've updated it. Do you want me to put that as a news article or a warm up?
Just do that in the warm-up section.
Ah,
That's warm-up-ish.
okay.
So feel free to X any of these. The first one is just, hey, there's a new pie out.
I'm excited about that one. We could probably talk about that one for a little bit.
Yeah. Mac bashing. Actually,
Ooh, good.
Mac people bashing because the snobbery's getting thick over there. BlackBerry struggles for relevancy. The government is out to all of your photos belong to them. Guess what? A senator actually thinks voting machines might not be secure, and they found remote access software like installed on them, and not like from hacking, just from troubleshooting. Healthcare reforms mean big money if you're the CEO of Pfizer. Our torrent has been hacked for crypto mining, and then we can kind of can spiel into crypto is down, way down, and some of the news driving it. And then there's an air taxi. Drones are going to start in New Zealand. They can fly 60 odd miles, and they're pilotless with vertical takeoff and landing.
Articles.
Yeah.
How many we got in total here? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And how much time we got on it?
35 minutes. So an average of 6 minutes per.
All right. If we keep them tight, we can get them all in.
No, not 6 minutes.
4 minutes per. Yeah. Math is hard.
So I didn't know if there's any one of those we don't want to talk about.
We'll see. I mean, we'll just see how it goes. Let's see. The ones I'm most excited about, the pie thing won't take long, but I definitely want to hit the air drones because that's super cool.
Mm-hmm.
And
we have to bash
voting
Apple.
Machines has to be there.
Oh, I'm all for the Apple bashing.
And we have to sound off against, government-run healthcare and how it's bad for everybody but big business.
The thing about Apple bashing is it used to just be us doing it, but now Mac owners themselves are doing it. So it's not cool anymore to bash Apple.
See, not only did we get Microsoft to release a Linux distro, we've got Apple people to start bashing themselves. Truly. Element OP runs the web.
That's right. All right. So begin your local recording devices if you have not already.
Silicon wasting engaged.
All right, we're doing it.
Preemptive power cycle engaged. Let me fix my white balance again. I need to hire a person just to do that. I mean, it's a constant thing. I wonder if I can outsource that to India. Just some Indian guy to remote into my PC during the show and just do that.
You already have slave labor. Just duct tape one of your kids' mouth shut and say, stand here and press this.
Yeah, it's past their bedtime.
Oh.
So an unnamed friend of mine, because we are streaming on the YouTubes and this is recorded forever, neighbor called the police on them because they felt that their 15-year-old son was spending too much time at home alone. As in, 5 to 6 hours a day between school and parents getting home. and that was cause for calling the police.
Really?
Can you say hello, nanny state?
Wow. And what did the police say? Thank you for wasting our time.
Well, exactly. They went to the door and like, I'm sorry, ma'am, we have to do this. You know, it's part of the job. She made the call. We have to come talk to you. Hi, how you doing? Bye. It was your tax dollars at work.
Wow.
I don't know what brought that up, but something you said triggered that. Call the police. Yeah, that was it. Well, child welfare. You know, people be tripping. All right. Making a marker, starting a thing, muting that, doing that, clicking here. And here we go. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the GeekRant, episode 319, current-ish events. Recorded March 20. Wait, Tim.
Did I not put the right dates in
No,
there?
you did. I wasn't scrolled to that part of the thing. And so I was winging it, and then I just froze. It's like, what part of my screen is the date on? Where is it? It's in the corner. Is it where? And yeah.
I mean, I do that sometimes on purpose to try to mess you up. But I was like, wait a minute, I didn't even try.
That one was all me. All right, one more time. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the GeekRant, episode 319, current-ish events, recorded March 18th, 2018, and brought to you by Element Opie Productions, elementopie.com. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Drive Time Radio for Geeks. I am your host, Mark, the Sultan of the Soapbox Cockerel, and joining me this week, as always, are your two stalwart co-hosts, Seth, the Gooey Kid Anderson, and Miles, the Oxygenaire Wakeham. Hello, gentlemen.
Hey, Mark, and greeting fellow Opie-ites. I'm glad you could Opie with us.
And Miles has muted himself, and we're not hearing him. We don't hear you, Miles. You went away. You're not there. And Miles is gone. Let me try. I'll just hang up and call you back. See what that does. Nope. Still nothing.
Poopers. Can you hear us, Miles?
Yeah, we don't hear you at all. And I know I'm getting audio from that device. There's just nothing coming from you.
Mm-hmm.
Not a thing. Do your Skype settings show the microphone going voom voom as you talk? I definitely see lips moving, but I do not hear sound. I mean, you were just there. We were just, curse you. I'm going to blame the Mac, because that's what we've decided to do tonight.
Well,
my dog came to see me. Maybe try closing Skype and restarting it. Okay. Because we were there, everything was happy. And then we bashed Apple. And Steve Jobs from beyond the grave. So how are you hearing me? If you've canceled the Skype call, you must be hearing me through the Hangout?
Okay, can you hear me through the Hangout?
I can hear you through the Hangout. I just had that turned down.
This is weird. You can hear me through the Hangouts.
Yes.
And on the very same computer is Skype. So Skype's obviously bugging out. Okay, call me again on Skype. Let's see if it does it now. I've restarted it. All right. Can you hear me now?
Only on the Hangout.
Okay, hold on.
Are they both trying to grab the same audio interface? Because
Possibly, yeah.
they don't usually do that way. So maybe take it away from the Hangout. All right, so. So I know when I have to do that. How about now? Nope, not a thing. So when I have to do that with my camera, it happens with my camera sometimes. I have to kill the whatever it was and then reload the Hangout. Well, it's actually the Hangout when it does that. So I don't know. Does your Hangout? Can you change the Hangout to a different audio source?
No, well, it's all the same.
Like,
do you want
but
to just?
I mean,
should I just use? Well, can Seth hear me through Hangouts?
yeah, he can.
Yes.
Do you want to just use that for our audio, and I'll just keep recording locally?
Yeah. I mean, it's good enough. I guess it's not ideal, but it'll work.
Isn't that weird? Though it's going through the same computer, so it's not like the sound interface is messed up or the.
It's contention.
That's pure software doing that.
Well, I think it's more your OS than anything else. It's like only one can grab that device.
Yeah,
So
that's on Windows 10.
So if you've got like a internal mic or something that you could route the Hangout to, and then let Skype have the fancy mic. That
I see what
But
you're saying.
It was working before.
yeah, it was.
I know. It's this. This is Windows. No, I could reboot the machine. You want me to do that?
I don't think you'll have to do that, but I mean, the Magic Reboot does wonders.
Okay, hold on. I'll reboot it.
Yeah.
Hold on a second.
If not, we'll just fall back to this.
All right. Well, that's good. At least we got that. Oh, no, Windows. You're not going to do an update.
You know, that's what this in Windows 10. I have seen this a lot. Whenever there's an update pending, crap stops working until you reboot, and that's just the way it is.
So that's what happened. It downloaded the update and said, you will reboot now. And the best way to do that is to disable the thing that you're currently using. All right. Oh, he went away. I was going to tell him not to reboot because that could take forever.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
I hate Windows 10. Golly, it sucks.
Well, that's the deal with the devil you made because you took the free upgrade. If you hadn't taken the free upgrade, you could choose your updates.
Oh, I didn't. I'm just saying, but I mean, just everywhere I've seen it, there's been nothing I have seen in Windows 10 that has caused me to go, you know, this is nice.
Yeah.
I've nothing. I've like you bleeped yourself.
I
But,
would,
you know,
I would definitely prefer to roll this device back to Windows 7. But yeah, I took the free update, and then it doesn't tell me, it doesn't ask me to update. It tells me it's going to update. It says you have to do this. The best you can do is pick a time, and it's like within the next 6 or 8 hours. You can't tell it tomorrow or next week. It doesn't work that way.
I was trying to use it for like our Tuesday kind of a small group meeting. I was using it for something, and then it downloaded something that said, "Would you like to update updating?" And I was just like, I mean, it flashed the option long enough for my mind to register that's what it was. But by the time I moved my hand up to the mouse pad, it was already rebooting. And I was like, you bleeper.
Yeah. All right. Wakeham's back. Let me try calling him on the Skypes.
Anything now?
Yeah, I'm not sure where I'm hearing you. Nope, I'm still hearing you through the Hangout. All right, we'll just do it that way.
It's going to be Hangouts. I'm sorry.
No problem. It doesn't matter anyway. The only problem with that is if something borks your local, I don't have separation anymore. That's the only negative.
Okay.
So if you can go ahead and throw your lower third back there, yeah, that shouldn't take more than 15 or 20
Yeah,
minutes.
like it really wants to return. Yeah, it wants to remember that. Okay. Hold on a second. Sheesh.
And there's no we don't have to stop. You can do that while we go. So let's just redo that whole intro again. 9.5 minutes later. Totally not your fault. Nobody blames you for this. Hello.
That one.
Yeah. One more time. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Geek Rant, episode 319, current-ish events. Recorded March 18th, 2018, and brought to you by Element Opie Productions. ElementOpie.com. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Drive Time Radio for Geeks. I am your host, Mark, the Sultan of the Soapbox Cockerel. And joining me this week, as always, are your two stalwart co-hosts, Seth, the Gooey Kid Anderson, and Miles, the Aussie Jenner Wakeham. Hello, gentlemen.
Hey, Mark, and welcome to the Faithful Opiites. We rule.
I feel like that Verizon guy, you know, who used to go around on the TV going, "Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?"
Yeah, I said here as always, but it was almost like, as always, we have trouble with one of us. Curse you free software that we use on a daily basis. But anyway, we're here now. This is our fourth attempt, but you'll never know if I hadn't said something. So there we go. Glad to be back with you on the day after St. Patrick's Day. I hope you all wore green, or at least were around people who were adult enough not to pinch you based on the color you were wearing.
Yeah, I wasn't around anybody, so it didn't matter.
Fair enough.
I'm sporting the green tagline on Google Hangouts. There you go.
You know, with the young children I have, it's a big deal, and it was like the little one was like crying because the one green thing she wanted to wear wasn't clean, and it was St. Patrick's Day, and she had to wear green or get pants. Yeah, just get over it. That's the right way to remember the guy who brought Christianity to Europe, by pinching people and drinking green beer. Nice. So I just wanted to very quickly extol the virtues of, and I may have mentioned it before, I honestly don't remember, of LastPass Family. I'm a big LastPass fan. I have been for a long time. And at some point in the recent past, they rolled out a feature called LastPass Family. It's a $50 a year add-on, whereas LastPass, I think, is like $2 a year. It's such a small amount, or $12 a year. That's what it is. $1 a month. I pay it happily because I want the service to stick around. But LastPass Family, it's $50, and you can add. I don't know how many people. I added to 5 people in my family without any problem. So doing the math on that, I'm actually saving $10 a month because they each get a LastPass account as a result of it. And it's shared. It's a shared vault. So like our Netflix account and our PlayStation View account and things like that, I can share that to them. And the cool thing is I can share that in a read-only format or even an invisible format. So like they can go to the app and they can fill the password, but they can't see what the password is. So it's a neat little feature for you and your family. I have been a big LastPass believer for a while, and I like the fact, honestly, that it's $50 a year because that means that the service is making money and is going to continue to exist. So, LastPass Family, check it out. And I don't know that they actually have to be family. You know, if you have 5 or 6 people that you want to share stuff with, you could do that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a LastPass guy, but you know, I understand the value for those people that are.
I mean, if you have more than 2 passwords, you should have LastPass. That's all
I use the same password on everything.
Well, that's the problem. That's why we're having trouble connecting to you. It's the Russians.
Yeah, right.
All right, so Seth, tell me about the Invasion trilogy.
All right, so this is a 3-book set, hence the trilogy, but it's sort of, so this guy is in a suburban setting, and all of a sudden there's reports of rioting and everything, and so he barricades himself in his house, and they're not zombies, but people are acting strange, and they're not acting like humans, and so he eventually gets rescued by the army and gets thrown into...
Spoiler alert.
I mean, no, because that's on the back. That's like on the back jacket level. Spoiler alert. So, and then so he is. So they're fighting, to save civilization from these things. They don't know what they are. And as the series progresses, you begin to figure out what's going on. But, so I can't really get into more details like that. It's not the action adrenaline super pace that the Arisen series is, but it's somebody who is not a soldier being forced to learn how to act like a soldier in order to protect himself and his family. And so it was kind of like, if you've ever wondered how an average person would handle those situations. I mean, the person who wrote it is an active duty, currently serving member of the military. And I think he did a pretty decent job. So again, the character banter and stuff isn't what you find in the Arisen series, but 3 books, they're all shorter. Combined read time for me for all 3 was under 10 hours. So not a David Weber thickness of a book, but enough for some good entertainment. So the Invasion trilogy by I can't remember the guy's name, and the one I looked up on Amazon, I looked down and realized, oh, wait a minute, this is a different Invasion trilogy. So
Seth will look that up and get back to us. And while he's doing that, Miles is going to tell us about YouTube TV.
Yeah, I dropped I tried YouTube TV last November when it came to Arizona, came to Phoenix. I decided to sign up for it because, I've been trying to do the cord cutting thing. I got off DirecTV a bit, but I didn't quite wanted to be with it. Anyway, YouTube TV came along, and I signed up for it. It's one of those things you can cancel anytime kind of thing. And I was using it for a couple of months, and it just was missing some key channels that I wanted. And consequently, I could not use it. So anyway, in the end, I decided to give it up, and I canceled it. And so periodically I go back and check to see what they've done. And apparently in February they added CNN and all the Turner Network channels to it, which was pretty helpful. They also added AMC and a bunch last year. And I'm just waiting for them to put Discovery and A&E on there. And I think this is probably ready to go. But they raised the price to $40 a month. It used to be 35, so now it's 40. And go figure.
I think all these cord cutting things, like PlayStation Vue, same thing. It started at 20 a month, then it went up a little more, and now their base package is 40 a month. They're all going to follow the cable model. It started out as being cheaper than cable. Now it's just an alternative to cable. You're not going to save any money. But if you like it better, fine. That's my view on it.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. My daughter needs to have some sort of TV at college, and so they give you 6 devices for your account. So this would be, I can, aggregate it across a number of people, which is good. And it still works out cheaper than the lowest package on my cable offering. So, I think it's got a place. It's just missing those key channels. I got to have me some Storage Wars, people.
Yeah, I can't watch it simply because of the lack of the kid stuff and the DIY stuff, which is all the girls in my household watch. So, if I had YouTube TV, there would be no TV in my house.
Yeah, that's sad.
Yeah.
Anyway, fingers crossed. Maybe they'll solve that problem.
It's all about making deals with people. So anyway, moving on now to...
Oh, before you do, Mark, I want to say it's the first book was called The Darkness, and it's by W.J. Lundy. So if you're interested in zombie-esque, apocalyptic, world-ending type stuff, The Darkness is book 1. W.J. Lundy is the author.
Lundy?
That is correct.
All right. W.J. Lundy. Because we did get chastised in our book episode for not mentioning the author of some books. I think we did, but I'm not going to argue with the listener if he says we didn't. Apparently we didn't. So,
but that's one of those things. If you listen to them sped up, proper names and things that your brain can't context, you can't quite understand them, and so you just like, oh, I didn't hear that, and so you either stop and slow down, and nobody's going to do that in today's society, or you just didn't hear it.
All right, so moving on to the current-ish events, Seth has been scouring the web for news items. We haven't done a news show in a long time, and so he was super excited to be back with this. And the first thing he brought is something I'm excited to talk about, too, the brand new Raspberry Pi 3B. Yeah, that's what it's called. 3B Plus is out with some pretty beefed up specs, including a gigabit-ish network adapter, which has sort of been the biggest hang-up for me.
Yeah, and honestly, I just read that the Raspberry Pi is now the third best-selling computer of all time, behind only the Windows PC and Mac. So, at over 15 million boards sold. But yeah, you get 64-bit, 1.4 gigahertz quad core. It's got Bluetooth, dual band Wi-Fi, which is pretty cool, and you can do modular Wi-Fi compliant certification. But they keep the price the same, and it's the new Raspberry Pi that is out to, you just think about it, in a couple of generations. I mean, this is going to be your computer.
Yeah.
You don't need a big desktop. You're going to have one of these as your computer, and one of these is your petabyte of storage that you carry around with you. And the third one is a power brick for when you're a long way from home. And so you put those on your belt, and there's your wearable system fixed.
Yeah, so I have a couple of Pis around the house for various projects, and they both have a Wi-Fi dongle plugged into them, into the USB port, and a Bluetooth keyboard dongle plugged into them. Both of these have that built in, so now I have just freed up that USB, and I said quote unquote gigabit. It is a gigabit connector, but it's gigabit over USB, so it's essentially a USB gigabit Ethernet adapter, and USB only runs about 300 to 400 megahertz, and it's shared depending megabits rather, and shared depending on how many devices you have. So it's also sharing that with the Wi-Fi stuff. So you're going to see 300, but that's better than the 100, and it's $25 and fits in your back pocket. So all my arguments are void and null because it's $35.
So did they take away the RJ45 off there and only doing Ethernet via USB now?
No, it's always been via USB. So there's a jack on it, but that jack is a USB adapter plugged into the USB bus on the hard drive. On the board.
I might give one of these a try. I've been trying to find a dual NIC solution that's low sized, so that might be interesting.
So again, contention is going to be your issue if you're running dual NICs. Both of them are USB, so now you're splitting that over. But it depends on what kind of bandwidth you need. If 100 megabit is good enough, then two of them will probably get 150 to 200 each. So you're good.
Yeah, cool.
All right, little geek news there. The next one is, of course, Seth hates Macs, so we have to talk about the fact that malware. Anytime a news article mentions numbers in percent, I immediately call BS on it. But this is Mac BS, so I'm going to go ahead and report it. Malware for Macs up 270%.
Yes, and the article is no less than 270% from the year before. So you research how much malware there was the year before, multiply that by 2.7, and then the first couple of months of this year show the sign to only be increasing. So, and the thing that separates Mac from PC is there really isn't a lot of good Mac utilities to protect yourself from malware. You are just, you're looking to Big Brother to protect that walled garden and keep all those nasty things away from you, while you can merely click away on cat videos and smugness sharing. So this, when malware gets in the Mac ecosystem, it is more deadly to the ecosystem because you have to wait for Big Brother to put out an update to take care of it. There aren't tools you can go to yourself that allow it to be taken care of.
You mean smugness isn't a protection against malware?
Smugness is the malware's greatest cover. With all that smug, you can't see it's on your system, and you think my Mac's just running slow, so let me go waste a couple of grand on another one.
I literally just did a spit take. I was drinking water as you were talking, and I just spit water all over my keyboard.
But come on, is it? I mean, am I speaking truth here, or has my Mac bashing gone too far?
Miles, you're a Mac user. What say you?
Oh, you know what? I want 60 seconds to rant on Mac. Is it appropriate to do it now?
Ready, go.
Okay. I hate Macs. Here's the reason. They have this stupid idea that they're like this nice, happy, pleasant green company, and they're a mob of Hitler-like Gestapo computer control freaks. And the reason I say that is that you can't do anything to protect yourself on a Mac unless you break some legal, EULA, or you're going to be thrown in jail by Apple's technical people. And case in point, most people who have got Macs are sick and tired of the fact that Apple haven't produced a decent one at a decent price in years. And the last ones they did last year were like $5,000 for what you could get in an $800 Intel i7. And as a result, people are going out there and going, I want to break free of Apple, but I've got such an investment in that ecosystem and that software base that I'm going to go and build myself a Hackintosh. So they go out there and they buy, they watch YouTube videos and they buy all these components to construct themselves a Hackintosh. And you know that after they've spent that $1,000 to put that killer system together that's going to be 5 times faster than anything Apple could ever do, there's going to be a software update from Apple. And the second that happens, they're SOL. And that is going to happen. You know it's going to happen because Apple hates human beings, period. Okay, rant off.
That was more like 90 seconds, but I'm happy to let you have the extra time.
Yeah,
Thank you.
and Miles, you got Gestapo and you got Nazi. Why couldn't you have mentioned commie in there somewhere for the trifecta? But otherwise, good rant on that.
Yeah, next time. I'll keep that one up my sleeve.
Somebody at church the other day asked me about my phone choices, and I said I'm an Android person, and they said why, and I said, well, there's 2 reasons. One, there's basic parity between the two; they're essentially the same thing, and 2, I don't want to give my money to a company whose policy is to dump on its customers as often as possible. So there's my reason, and it's not about the technology; it's about the company. The company sucks. So does Microsoft, and I give them money, but unfortunately, it's a Microsoft world. It doesn't have to be an Apple world.
Right, but you can choose the hardware you run Microsoft on. You have no choice with Apple.
Right.
And historically, you've had the ability to tweak Microsoft, and do weird things like shut off auto updates that Microsoft doesn't like you doing, and disable their feature and install a third-party competitor program. So, you used to have Linux was the open world that you had to write code yourself. Apple was the closed world that said hit on and only do it this way. And Microsoft was the medium that you could get draconian or you could be quasi-free, and now they're all merged into this cacophony, because I like that word, of crap that is rapidly consuming our culture.
There's a certain path that companies go down, right? First, they're customer responsive and they build a better product, and that's how they get their customers. And then they get locked in and they refuse to innovate. And then, because they refuse to innovate, they begin to stagnate. And then their only choice is to sue people, a la BlackBerry, who's now making their living by suing people.
Come on. I feel bad for BlackBerry because they had it and they lost it. And so their current contention is, hey, Facebook, your messaging system operates a whole lot like our patented, ironed up messaging system. We're going to sue you. I think Weird Al's sue you in the background here. And then also, by the way, Nokia, yours isn't much better. We're going to sue you too. So, Facebook's first response was, what? BlackBerry still exists? And then so they have vowed to fight it because, as we've chronicled many times, these companies both have lawyer cores, and the lawyer cores are getting paid anyway. So BlackBerry said, hey, Facebook's got a lot of money. Let's sue them. And Facebook's like, oh, okay, guys, cut off golf early, dust off this lawsuit. So, but, I don't know the technology behind it. I would think that because messaging is messaging, it's going to look the similar regardless. So it all boils down to, has Facebook legitimately ripped off BlackBerry's messaging technology, or is it just close enough that BlackBerry's throwing this Hail Mary for one last shareholder grab before they go out of business?
Well, and they've fallen so far that by suing Apple and just getting the crumbs off the table of Apple, that would breathe new financial life into their company. That's sad.
Yeah, because of the licensing that would go with it, that would be, it would be enough to, I don't know, stay around.
They are the Kodak of smartphones. What's the point?
Fortunately, though, there are systems and companies that are always innovating and always growing and always at the cutting edge of technology. Like, for example, voting machines. Those are the peak of security, and you just simply don't get any better than those, right?
I'm sure that was a great transition, Mark. Unfortunately, I only heard like every fourth word. So, were you talking about the Finder story?
No, the voting machines one.
Oh, the voting machine. Okay. Yes. So this, a U.S. senator actually realized, hey, wait a minute, guys, these voting machines, Russian collusion, all that is really big in the news. So they're holding series of hearings on how safe these voting machines are. And of course, the voting machine company replies back, oh, they're very secure. We don't even, they don't even have to be hooked up to the internet. And so they gave one to this guy to check out and look. And so he found remote access software that allowed anyone with the correct password to connect in there. And then they dug up a 2006 contract between the state of Michigan that showed that this company was using remote access software, high-tech hacker stuff here, people, PC Anywhere, to remotely administer the equipment it sold. And PC Anywhere, I can remember many a story where vulnerabilities were found in that software. And, I'm sure that you can go on this company's website and find out, for example, the default username is blank and the password is admin. That'll get you into most wireless routers these days. But somewhere it's listed on a publicly accessible page what the default password is that nobody changed. And so, this is our future, people. But way to go. A Democratic senator from Oregon, Ron Wyden, is the one who is behind at least getting this in the news. So
I think this is probably, I'm not going to say much ado about nothing. It's much ado about very little, but it does illustrate the fact that people just aren't paying attention. They design a system. Can it count votes? Yes. Great. Ship it. And they don't think about all the ancillary aspects of it.
Yeah, exactly. So, but we've done this many times. We've been talking about the crappy electronic voting machines in this country since, we were everyday Linux many years ago. And it's at least now, proof yet again that we're ruling the web. We've finally gotten senators talking about it.
I got an idea. Let Apple make voting machines.
Oh, sweet. No.
Well,
you meant to vote Democrat, didn't you?
the old saw has been that open source will save us all, that the only true safe voting machine is an open source voting machine. I'm not sure that I fully believe in that, but I think it is, that sort of infinite number of monkeys with an infinite number of typewriters thing. I think it's going to be safer than any proprietary system, though not necessarily entirely secure.
Yeah, because, the only way it will be safe from humans is after, Skynet takes over and eliminates the humans. Then the voting machines that are left will finally be secured from human eyes. So,
and when we talk about security, naturally the first thing that I go to is the torrent community, because they're all about keeping things secure. So why don't we talk about what our torrent is doing to secure the world of cryptocurrency?
Yes, well, our torrent, they've actually found a flaw that allows a Unix-style crypto mining software to be installed remotely and take over the machine. And so far, they have, where was the number? It was in this story earlier. Almost, maybe it was a different story. Dadgummit. Mark, when you cover these stories out of order, it messes up.
I wonder what they're
It
mining
messes up
though.
because I have them opened in order to keep them from loading, but they haven't made a lot so far, just about $4,000. But that's them using your hardware to mine cryptocurrency, which will cause your hardware to run out faster and jack up your electricity.
It says they're generating about $43 a day. Not exactly a lucrative program, but that's $43 free dollars.
Yeah, because somebody's had this hack of the RTorrent and then somebody else packaged it. So after a day or two, they've made their investment back. And this is just something else that the IoT of stuff that is out there is going to be opened up to in the future. Any one computer is not going to mine you much of any Bitcoin. But when you could take over a botnet army of thousands upon thousands of them, then each one of them producing a fraction of a penny, adds up to, hey, if I could do $43 a day sitting at home, watching my bank account build, I'd be happy as a side stream.
Assuming you could do it legally and morally and ethically, right?
But see, don't you have the moral imperative to point out the poorly coded software that is out there? Wouldn't you rather it be doing this than stealing bank passwords and, identity theft? You're just showing them the error of their ways, something relatively benign. They fix their stuff, and this is patched, and, you drop down to a few pennies a day.
Okay. So,
Come on, I'm trying.
The reason I did these out of order, because I thought this led nicely to the fact that, this is cryptocurrency at its worst, right? These are criminals using your software to mine cryptocurrency, because cryptocurrency is such a hot thing right now. It is, in many cases, it's free money. And of course, it's being traded now by people like stocks. It's not a stock. And the latest backlash, I've been watching the price of Bitcoin specifically fluctuate. It's been down-ish. It's at about 8,000 right now, and I think last week it was about 9 or 10,000. So it's steadily down, and it's because there's been a recent backlash against cryptocurrency. For example, Facebook is just refusing ads for cryptocurrency. In tandem with that, this thing is covering my page and I can't see it. Google also banned ads related to cryptocurrency, and Twitter is planning on following suit. So it's not that they think that cryptocurrency is bad necessarily, but they think there's such an unsavory element to it that nobody wants to advertise it.
Yeah, and that's, it's one of those things. Cryptocurrency should have never, or Bitcoin should have never rocketed up as fast as it did. That was pure speculation, and it had to come down. And even at 7,000, if you look at where it was a year ago today, 7,000 is still a huge gain. And long term, I would be very bullish on the blockchain technology and cryptocurrencies in general. And particularly Bitcoin, because I don't think anything else is ready to take its place. But while long term, I would think it's something good. Short term, I don't know how far down the bottom's going to go. I wouldn't be surprised if it went below 5,000 for a little bit. But, it's one of there's just so much FUD, the fear, uncertainty, and doubt. And you hear people talk about how, drug dealers are using it and people involved in human trafficking are using it for the anonymity. And I'm like, you've just said why we should be a cashless society, because Bitcoin, the Bitcoin blockchain, is not as anonymous as me handing somebody else $100 bill. That's more anonymous than me wiring $100 worth of Bitcoin to their chain. Because, somewhere there's an off-ramp where that Bitcoin gets converted to cash. And the government's doing a pretty good job of regulating and finding those. And of course, there are ways around it, but you would be surprised at how easy it is with all of the, deep learning and data mining on the web to tie you to your crypto address. And once that's tied, you could try to do a lot of stuff to obfuscate it, but even if you close out that one and start another one and wire all your money to it, they'll still be able to see it all went there. So there's just so much FUD. And I think not a lot, but some of it is institutions and big money looking to drive the price down so they can get in and really buy it. Because, even though they're talking about the evils of cryptocurrency, a lot of these companies are trying to buy the smaller ones, or they're leveraging themselves to go long on certain cryptocurrency. So this is a short-term hiccup. If you've got the intestinal fortitude, this could be a buying opportunity, but it might go lower before it rebounds.
Yeah, I would agree with pretty much everything there. I think that look, at the end of the day, you've got to look at the fundamentals. And the fundamentals here is that if the network effect of Bitcoin was to create a frictionless way you could buy a cup of coffee, or you could, buy a pair of jeans at the store, or you could send money to another person in another country instantly over the internet, it's kind of failed on all of those fronts. I mean, it's too expensive, too slow, and most importantly, vendors are not accepting it. So, okay, that didn't work. And then if you think of it as a store of value, well, that's all great if the store of value stays the same value for a day or so, but with these wild swings of 20% in a day constantly, nobody's going to invest in anything with that sort of store of value. So that doesn't work. So we haven't achieved what we set out to achieve. And I would be critical of human beings more than I would be critical of Bitcoin, because I do believe very much in the long-term value of Bitcoin, but I don't believe in human beings when it comes to using it. Greed has taken this market from 1,000 to 20,000, and then back down to 7 or 8, and it will go low. I wouldn't be surprised, and I'm no predictor of this, but I wouldn't be surprised to see a $2,000 Bitcoin, because there's nothing driving it up. There's no network effect keeping it floating. And, without regulation, it's the Wild West, and nobody wants to play in that camp right now. BitConnect, I mean, give me a break. We had 24 minutes of comedy on John Oliver's TV show this week, just laughing at Bitcoin. And I had to sit back and agree with him and laugh along, because human beings are crazy animals, and greed destroys a good thing. And that's really what's happening right now. Until we scorch earth this, get rid of that greed out of it, get rid of the humans out of it, and bring it back to being a network effect, store of value, and a method of transacting, an electronic peer-to-peer cash system like its original white paper intended. Until we can return it back to there, I think it could be game over for Bitcoin, particularly with the regulators coming in. Maybe not permanently, but definitely down to a very low value before we see it recover again.
And remember that cryptocurrencies were never intended to be a way to get rich. They were intended to be a way to transfer value quickly and to authenticate that in a rigid, unbreakable way. And so the blockchain is being investigated as the real, workhorse there. That's the engine of the Bitcoin. So Bitcoin was just sort of the first out of the block. I don't think the blockchain is going anywhere. That is going to be the future of transactions. It may be a long future, but I'm bullish on blockchain in general. And Bitcoin is just supposed to be the same price today as it was yesterday, or within relative range, as all currencies do. There's going to be an exchange rate, that's a given, but it's never supposed to go up quickly or down quickly. That, I've said it 100 times. You can either be a currency or you can be an investment opportunity. You can't effectively be both. And so I think people are maybe trying to step away from the investment part of it and look at it as an actual currency. Maybe not. Maybe it was just all the exuberance going in and now the fear going out. I don't know. But frankly, I'm still bullish on Bitcoin, or at least the blockchain itself.
Yeah, I have a feeling that what we might see is a blockchain will become kind of ubiquitous with all technology going forward, and we won't even recognize it anymore. It'll be like SQL databases or open source software. If you're a techie, yeah, you understand that stuff because you've got to write code for it or you've got to deal with it. That's fine. But for the average Joe, they're not even going to know there's a blockchain behind their buying a car or closing escrow on a house or voting in their country or whatever. It'll just be there and we won't even think about it. So this whole hype about blockchain and all these blockchain maximalists or whatever that are out there, it kind of seems a bit lame to me. I mean, I think at the end of the day it's kind of like ranting about the value of TCP/IP and not trying to look like a total nerd.
But we are total nerds, so we're okay with that.
Yeah.
And as a total nerd, I am just super excited about the day when a freaking helicarrier will come to my house without a human operator and pick me up and take me to work. And that's what Larry Page, famously of Google, has been working on with a project called Kitty Hawk. And he's going to start making it a reality. And I am just ashamed that I don't live in New Zealand right now.
Yes, so this project is called Cora, and it is self-piloting, which means that you can get to where you need to go without a pilot's license. It can fly up to 110 miles an hour, and it has a range of 62 miles. So they are kind of rolling it. They're going to be rolling it out in New Zealand. Drone, flying cars, all of that has been like one of the things that's just in at least the American psyche mind of science fiction utopia. And so they are starting this in New Zealand, but I think it's pretty cool. So, and the thing about this that kind of makes it also cool is the vertical takeoff of this. So, it's not like you need a jet, or a runway. You don't pull out on the road and elevate and take off. You can lift off. So instead of having a driveway, you have a little helipad, and then you have a helipad at your work. And so now instead of just having 2 lanes of traffic, you have infinite lanes where, people can be flying at 100 feet, 150, 200, 250 feet or whatever. And so theoretically, congestion is going to decrease because, then the people on the road, there's less cars on the road. So this is one of those things that it's cool. It's not here yet, but they're rolling it out. This is kind of, I would think, beta testing this. And so, way to go, New Zealand.
Yeah, this thing could land in my driveway. I might have to prune some trees, but it could definitely land in the street in front of my driveway and taxi to my driveway, pick me up, fly me to my office, and land me on the top floor of the parking garage that's open. That's a thing that could happen right now in my life. I'm well within that 62-mile range. I'm actually about a third of that. And at 110 miles per hour, it would get me there in about 6 minutes. My commute would be about 6 minutes long, and yeah, I want it. I want it now, and I'm unafraid to get in this thing and let a computer fly me. I have all my faith in our computer overlords.
Did they give any indication of price or cost for a trip or something?
$4 billion.
Yeah.
I mean, my thing would be, I don't think it would be practical now because how long is it going to take? You would have to have a ground crew to basically run over, pull out the battery pack, plug in and, push in a new one, hook it back up, and then take this one back over to the quick charge. So that's what you're going to have to do.
Well, no, I mean, if this is a service, right, you would just have to make sure that the trip from where they are to my house to where I want to go and back is less than 62 miles. So, you just have to build your launch bays in, the suburbs and in the regional areas, or even it doesn't have to go back, right? So it could take a regional from the suburb to my house, fly me to my office, and then go back to the metro hub down in the metro area, and that's completely feasible to me. And then you service it and swap it out. You'd have to have a fleet of these things. I'm so bullish on this that within I think within my children's lifetime, maybe not in mine, but definitely in my children's lifetime, this will be the way people travel.
But again, you would need a fleet of them, but you would also need quick change battery technology, because otherwise, think how long is that thing going to be down to get fully charged? You can just swap out the mechanism and look at how fast the trips are going to be. So during rush hour, each one of these is going to be making 3, 4, 5 pickups.
Well,
and,
maybe. I mean, that depends on the size of your fleet, because you've got all night to charge them. Because let's say it takes 4 hours to charge. You've got a morning rush hour. You could charge your entire fleet in between, and then your evening rush hour, and then charge your entire fleet. So it's just it's either the technology to drop a battery in and drop a battery out, or make it fully automated and just have enough to meet the demand at the peak and have a small reserve during charge times.
Yeah, so like I say, it's going to be a combination. You couldn't go into business with just one of these.
Right.
You would need several, but then removable batteries is a force multiplier in this thing. So that way you don't have to get it down for a charge. You know, I see it as being a cool thing to do. You know, this would be awesome.
I don't see why that couldn't be a thing. I mean, you could automate that process. If you're smart enough to build a car that can come get you, you're smart enough to build an automated battery replacement process.
That's true.
Miles, what do you think?
I don't know if I trust it. I mean, I'm having a hard time dealing with all these Ubers running around our neighborhood at the moment without drivers, you know. Putting them in the sky as well. I don't know. I'd try it once, but I'm just going to wait for I don't want to be the first guy through that door, I think.
Yeah, definitely it's not about, for me, it's not about the intelligence of the AI. It's about the robustness of the vehicle. If I'm flying at 150 feet up in the air, I need to be really certain that that thing is mechanically sound and is not going to fall out of the air. The AI getting me from place to place, I mean, that's fine. That's being done right now. It would be easier than navigating your streets in Arizona, in Phoenix. It would be much simpler. You could fly pretty much a direct line. You just need your AI to keep, within a certain distance of anything else. So I think that simplifies the AI part. It's just the robustness of the device would be my major concern.
Yeah. Oh, well, I'll be an interesting spectator on this.
Yeah, and it's, 400 pounds. I'm probably not going to be a candidate for these things anyway. So maybe this is the thing. Having children wouldn't do it, but maybe this is the reason I find my big enough why to lose weight.
Yeah, because as something like this, the fat tax becomes real.
Yeah.
Because, even a helicopter, if a helicopter takes me, then that means they're only getting one passenger, whereas otherwise they would be getting two for the amount of weight I carry. So my price is going to be, 50 to 70% more than somebody who weighs half as much as I do. So, and then so my trip would cost more because I'm degrading the flight range because it takes more power to lift me, or I'm not going to be able to do it because it doesn't have the power to lift me and maintain the safety cushion.
So that's a look at what's happening now. But Seth, tell me what happened this week in history.
All right. Well, I actually tied this one into one of the stories we talked about today. So, Mark, on March the 15th, 1892, the first automatic voting machine was invented by Rochester resident Jacob H. Myers, Myers. It was intended to replace the hand tabulated ballots that were used previously. The first machine for Myers' company were used in the 1896 election, but were not problem-free. Myers withdrew them in order to perfect the design. This opened the door to a rival machine design from his former assistant, William P. Davis, that would eventually capture the city contract. The competition between the two companies would help drive the acceptance of machines by keeping the company names in the public eye. And Mark, that happened this week in history all the way back in 1892, and now back to you.
So voting machines are not a new thing. Of course, these were really more tabulating machines, right?
Well, yeah, and kind of, it's you press the lever kind of thing. So yeah.
So let's not forget that in 1892, probably around that, I'm not sure, but that would have been a time when the private ballot wasn't a thing. I know, like in the 1860s, like when people wanted to vote for Lincoln, for example, they had to go to their office. They had to ask for a Republican ballot first. They had to announce who they were for, where they were from. They had to say their name, and then out loud they had to say who they were voting for. So the concept of a secret ballot is a relatively new thing in history, and I'm wondering if there was any thought made to security in 1892 for about the ballot.
I don't know, but remember Herman Hollerith's thing was his punch card machine was used in the 1890 census. So
right.
This newfangled, technologically marvel of contraptionness, all real new in the American world.
It's kind of an ironic thing. I'm reading the Starfish and the Spider, the book about decentralization right now. And it's funny you should bring this one up because I was just reading a chapter earlier today about how Rochester, I guess back in the early 1900s, also happened to be the first place where the first woman voted, and that was Susan Anthony. And then she got a judge basically found her, you know, it was a criminal act or whatever she did, and you know, fined her $100 or something, which she never paid. But that all happened in Rochester as well. What's going on with voting in Rochester? That place was a hot bud of activity over 100 years ago, I guess.
Wow.
And today they're known for, nope, got nothing. No idea what they're known for.
Kodak.
So, Seth, what do you have this week to lower my productivity, thus making you seem like a better hiring option?
Okay, well, this is a YouTube video and it has sound, so just to let you know. But I came across this, and the title of the video is "What Literally Happened in The Princess Bride." So this person is telling you the story of the Princess Bride, but taking it out of the story and just you're like how like if you were going to tell somebody about Star Wars, and so. Talks about how stupid Buttercup is, how, Fred Savage was just a stupid, sick kid, and things like that. And it was just so funny to watch. It just, and of course, it reminded me of my love for The Princess Bride. And it's just a great thing. It is. And they have several of the what literally happened in around. So it's like 8 minutes. It does have sound, but cool video. I enjoyed it. So fun times.
The Princess Bride is one of the most quotable movies of all times. It is, however, not a paragon of Hollywood, the best work ever made. Part of what makes it great is that it was campy and that the story was sort of hackneyed. I read the book that the Princess Bride was made from, and it was. It was much better than the movie, as books always are. And one of the thing is there's like a chapter on how stupid Buttercup is. So this person mocking it is not right. I mean, the character of Buttercup was the most beautiful woman in the land and also the dumbest woman in the land at the same time.
Yeah. So, but Robin Wright, she was quite attractive. She got it right.
So, Miles, did that cross the ocean? Was The Princess Bride a big thing in Australia?
No, but I think it's one of those things where once the author and or actors and or director passes on, it will probably become legendary. I think it's just probably too new to be in the public consciousness in Australia at this point, but I might be wrong.
Surely they know about Monty Python and the Holy Grail.
Oh yeah, well that's not a problem.
Yeah, that I made some comment just like it wasn't even a full sentence. I don't remember what I said. It might have just been something as simple as knee today at lunch, and had like 4 people cracking up laughing because that's such a part of our collective history together. And that movie was silliness elevated to an art form, right there.
Yes, it was.
And so this is the part of the show where I tell you how you can contact us, how you can feedback to us, how you can let us know what's going on in your life. Go to elementop.com, click the Contact Us button at the top of the page, answer the world's hardest CAPTCHA, fill out the form there, and that sends an email to my inbox that gets priority. You get read before the messages from my boss. Not really. He doesn't send messages to that email. Or you can dial 559-I-AM-OPIE. Leave us a voicemail message there. We haven't had one of those in a very long time. Dora, I'm talking to you. And we'll play it on the show, or you can send an email to geekrant@elementop.com. And I do want to make a plug for something I haven't talked about in quite some time, and that is the Castback app that began as I can't remember what it was called, Zcast app, and then before that it was known as the Element Opie app, or the EDL app, because it began from yours truly complaining about the fact there wasn't a good community-based podcast app. And so if you haven't heard me talk about it, the Castback app lets you leave comments during a show record them in your own voice, or not record. I'm sorry, you write them while the show is going on, and then later anybody else using Castback listening to that show will see a notification that you had something to say, and you can then respond back to that, and then the person who did that or everybody listening to that thing will see that notification. So you can have a thread that goes on long after the podcast has been recorded. You can have a conversation. The thing can live on. The podcast is new each time. It's undergone some significant revisions. And in fact, one of the things I'm excited about, it is no longer a free app. It's Castback Pro, Castback Plus. Castback Plus, that's what it's called, is the newest version. And Castback Plus cost you $2. I'm excited about that because that means that the developer is making money off of it and is going to be more interested in keeping it up. And that is true. All of the bugs that I had known about before had been fixed. I encourage you to check it out. Currently, it's only an Android app, but who listens to this show on an iPhone? So check out Castback Plus in the Android show. It's $2, and I think it's one of the best podcast players I've ever used, period. Plus, it has the added feature of community. So, there you go. Okay, that's all I'm going to say about that. I'm also going to say if you're interested in supporting us in the same way that you're interested in supporting Castback, you could do that over at elementopia.com/Patreon or patreon.com/elementopia. Give us $1. I'd appreciate it. Seth, Miles, any words of wisdom from you?
No, you did such a great job. I'm just done.
All right.
My head's still spinning from St. Patrick's Day.
All that green beer.
Yeah.
Anybody ask why it's green? Yeah. So thank you, the listener, for hanging out with us. You are literally the reason we do this show, and we appreciate it. Let us know what you think. More than that, if you like it, let other people know what you think. Still, the best place to leave us a rating or review right now is the iTunes Store. I hate the fact that that's true. I want somebody to rise up and take over the iTunes Store, but right now, that's the place where you can go and leave us a rating and review, and I would appreciate that. I guess I don't have anything else to say except for pay for what you like. And we'll see you next week, because that's it for this episode of the GeekRant.
Toodaloo.
Got it. So, okay. What happened there? Skype came back in the middle?
Yeah. Just out of curiosity, I reached, because I saw that the call was still there. I was going to end the call to save the bandwidth. And out of curiosity, I reached over and turned the knob up, and there you were.
It's Skype. It's not me. Please, it's not me.
Yeah, and I mean, like, I had weirdness on Skype too when it first started. So
they did say, I noticed it said it had done some sort of update or something this morning when I started. Just before the show when I opened it up, it said, "Oh, I've updated. Look at all these new features." I'm like, "Yeah, right."
Yeah, every time I launch Skype, it updates. This week. Now, I only do it twice a week when I'm doing the show. Actually, just once a week, because on the other show, we just use Hangouts. So once a week, I launch Skype, and every time, it updates.
The wonders of technology.
All right, YouTubers. See you later. The 4 of you that ever watch this show on YouTube. Bye now.